Good morning, third graders, and happy Friday. Today's lesson is lesson 16, our last unit lesson before we do some review and take the test. So the I can statement is I can solve a variety of world problems. Today we're going to start on page 320. How far can a third grader jump? Since we are not in school and we can't measure each other jumping, and I know how much you guys would love to do this activity in class, I'm going to give you the lengths that students jumped and create a tally chart so that you can use this data to complete this page. So let's see. So we're going to start with one of the lengths is 2.5. Another one is 3. Another length that we are going to share is 3.5 and 4, 4.5, and 5 feet. So when kids were jumping, one student jumped 2.5 feet, 5 students jumped 3 feet, 8 students jumped 3.5 feet, and 3 students jumped 4 feet. 2 students jumped 4.5 feet, and 1 student jumped 5 feet. So that's our tally chart. The frequency table, you put the same lengths over here. So if you need to pause the video to fill this in, you may do that. And for the frequency table, you just write in each number according to the tallies. Okay, now it's time to make a line plot. So here we go. This is our line plot at the bottom of the page. And we are going to figure out the lengths of jumps. And we're doing it in feet. So I'm going to put feet in parentheses. So when the different kids were jumping, the shortest jump was 2.5. So this is going to represent 2.5. This line will represent 3. This little line right here is going to represent 3.5, 4, 4.5, and this is going to represent 5. So when you look at the data, how many students jumped 2.5 feet? One student did. So you're going to put your line plot by 2.5. How many kids jumped 3 feet? So going back to our data, we know that 5 students jumped 3.5 feet. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what you want to do is you want to kind of line up your numbers like that so you can do a better comparison. And then if you look at how many kids jumped 3.5 feet, it's 8 kids. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if we go back here and we look at how many kids jumped 4 feet, it is 3 kids, so 1, 2, 3. How many kids jumped 4.5 feet? Looks like 2, 1, 2, and 1 student jumped 5 feet. So this is what our line plot would look like for this particular data. And this is found on page 321. So this would be a good review for us to do today before next week. So On this data, we have to use the data in the table to complete the bar graph. So here's our student information. These are all the grades that we're looking at: second grade, third, fourth, and fifth. Number of students that are involved are 25 students. In third grade, there's 40 students. Fourth grade, there's 80 students. And fifth grade, there's 50 students. So we're going to make our bar graph to match the data in this graph. So second grade, here's our second graders, and it's 25. So right between 25, right between 20 and 30 is about 25. So I always try to make that mark, then I make my bar graph. Next is third graders. And third graders, there were 40. So here's where the 40 mark is. And now you can make your bar. Fourth graders was 80 kids. So the 80 is way up here. So you can make your bar. Sorry, that's kind of blurry. Fifth grade, there were 50 kids. So I'm going to make my line first, then I'm going to make my bar. So now we showed the data in a bar graph. Number 2 says, use the data in the table to complete the line plot. So the title is Time Spent at After-School Activities. So you can see right here that there are 4 students that spend a half hour or 30 minutes at some after-school activities. 3 students spend an hour. 2 students spend an hour and a half on after-school activities. 1 student spends 2 hours. 3 students spend 2.5 hours doing after-school activities. 5 kids spend 3 hours doing after-school activities. So since our lowest number is a half hour or 30 minutes, we're going to make our 4 marks to represent the 4 kids that spend a half hour doing after-school activities. So we're done with a half hour. 1 hour, 3 kids spend doing after-school activities. Done with that one. And 2 kids, right here it says 2 kids spend an hour and a half. So 1, 2. 1 student spends just 2 hours. 3 kids spend 2.5 hours doing after-school activities. And the last entry point is 5 students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students spend 3 hours doing after-school activities. So that's what your line plot should look like. Our next one is number 3. And let's take a look at our directions here, starting right here. The animals that Gary saw while hiking are shown in the pictograph on the right. Use the pictograph to answer questions 3 and 4. So anytime we look at pictographs, we always have to look at the key. And here is the key. Each dot stands for 2 animals. So I know I always tell you, fill in your numbers at the beginning. So if 1 dot stands for 2 animals, we can count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 frogs. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12 toads, and 2, 4, 4 turtles. So we filled in our information. Now we can answer the questions. How many toads did Gary see? Well, we used our graph right here. We used our key, and we know that Gary saw 12 toads. And then the next question is, how many more frogs than turtles did Gary see? So we're comparing frogs to turtles. So frogs is 8. turtles is 4, and whenever we compare things, we subtract to find the difference. So 8 minus 4 is 4 frogs. He saw 4 more frogs than he saw turtles. Okay, on the next page, on this page, it's just some practice with multiplying and dividing at the top of the page. So I would like you to do, at the top of the page here, I want you to just do the odds, okay? And if you want to do them all, you may, but I'd like you to do the odds. And at the bottom here, I would like you to just do these 3 for some review. So you have a subtraction problem right here, you have adding, and another subtract. When you have finished this page in your workbook, please take a picture of it and post it on Seesaw so I can see your work.